The rain battered the windshield of Ethan Caldwell's sleek black Bentley as it crawled through the neon-lit streets of downtown Chicago. A decade of ruthless ambition had made him a titan, a CEO whose name adorned skyscrapers and headlines alike. At 42, he was untouchable until he saw them. For small figures huddled under a flickering street lamp, their soaked clothes clinging to shivering frames. 9 years old, maybe 10, their faces ghostly pale in the storm's glow. Ethan's breath caught, his knuckles whitening on the steering wheel. Those faces, sharp cheekbones, wide hazel eyes, the faint freckles dusting their noses, were hers. Identical to Claire, the wife he'd cast out 10 years ago in a haze of pride and betrayal. His past had found him, and it was staring back through the rain. Ethan's life hadn't always been boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. He'd grown up in a cramped apartment, the son of a factory worker who drank away the rent. Claire had been his escape, his college sweetheart whose laugh could thaw his cynicism. They married young, dreaming of a quiet life with kids and a picket fence. But ambition poisoned him. As his startup skyrocketed, Ethan's ego swelled. Claire's warmth, her insistence on family over fortune, began to feel like a shackle. 10 years ago, during a screaming match fueled by his infidelity and her tears, he'd thrown her out, accusing her of holding him back. She left with nothing but a suitcase and a broken heart. He hadn't looked for her since, burying guilt under wealth and power. Now, these girls, for mirror images of Claire, shattered his carefully built walls. He pulled over, heart pounding, and stepped into the rain. The girls flinched as he approached, their eyes wary but curious. "Hey," he said softly, crouching to their level, "you okay out here?" The tallest one, her hair plastered to her face, squared her shoulders. "We're fine," she said, her voice defiant despite her chattering teeth. Up close, the resemblance was uncanny, Claire's stubborn jaw, her piercing gaze. Ethan's mind raced. Were they hers? His? The math haunted him. 10 years since Claire. 9-year-old girls. He swallowed hard. "I'm Ethan. What are your names?" They hesitated, then the smallest whispered, "I'm Lily." "That's Emma, Sophie, and Ava." Identical quadruplets, their clothes threadbare, their shoes mismatched. They were alone, scavenging in an alley behind a diner. Ethan's first challenge was their distrust. These girls weren't just street kids, they were survivors, hardened by a world that had clearly failed them. Ava, the leader, eyed his expensive coat like it was a threat. "We don't need your pity," she snapped when he offered to buy them food. But hunger won out, and they followed him into the diner, dripping wet and drawing stares. Over burgers and fries, Ethan pieced together fragments of their story. They'd been in foster care since their mother died 3 years ago. No father listed. No family to claim them. They'd run away from a group home 6 months back, surviving on scraps and their wits. Ethan's gut twisted. Claire, dead? He needed answers, but pushing too hard risked scaring them off. He offered them a warm place to sleep, promising no strings. After a tense debate among themselves, they agreed, but Ava warned, "We'll bolt if you try anything weird." The next challenge was logistical. Ethan couldn't just take 4 runaway girls home without raising alarms. His penthouse, a sterile monument to his success, wasn't equipped for kids. He called his assistant, Maria, a no-nonsense woman who'd seen him through corporate wars. She arranged a temporary stay at a safe house owned by a charity Ethan quietly funded. There, the girls had beds, hot showers, and new clothes, but their wariness didn't fade. Sophie, the quietest, clutched a tattered photo of a woman who was unmistakably Claire. Ethan's heart sank. He needed to know the truth, but social services moved slowly, and the girls' records were a mess of gaps and dead ends. He hired a private investigator to dig into Claire's last years, all while juggling board meetings and a looming merger that demanded his focus. The emotional challenge hit hardest. Ethan wasn't built for this. He'd spent a decade numbing himself to guilt, to love, to anything that wasn't power. But these girls, sharp-tongued Ava, dreamy Lily, cautious Emma, and watchful Sophie, cracked him open. They bickered like sisters but protected each other fiercely. Lily's giggles over a board game, Emma's shy smile when he praised her sketch, Ava's grudging respect when he fixed a broken radio, it all stirred something in him. He saw Claire and their quirks, their resilience, and it forced him to confront the man he'd become. Late at night, he'd stare at his reflection, haunted by the memory of Claire's tear-streaked face as he'd slammed the door on her. Had she been pregnant? Why hadn't she told him? The investigators' first report came back. Claire had died of pneumonia in a women's shelter, alone, 3 years ago. She'd named her daughter's father as unknown on their birth certificates. Ethan's hope of answers collided with a crushing sense of loss. The girls faced their own challenges. They'd learned to survive by trusting no one, and Ethan's wealth made them suspicious. Ava, especially, tested him, hiding food under her bed like she expected to be kicked out. Sophie had nightmares, waking up screaming for a mother she barely remembered. Emma withdrew, sketching dark, swirling images of storms. Lily, the optimist, was the bridge, asking Ethan questions about his life, his work, even his favorite color. Slowly, he earned their trust through small acts. Teaching Ava to play chess, helping Sophie with math, framing Emma's drawings. But the system loomed. Social services caught wind of the girls' whereabouts, and a caseworker warned Ethan that runaways couldn't just be kept. He'd need legal standing, guardianship, or more, to keep them out of foster care. The turning point came when Ethan found Claire's old journal in a box of the girls' belongings, slipped to him by Lily. Its pages were a gut punch. Claire had written about her pregnancy, discovered weeks after Ethan expelled her. She'd chosen not to tell him, believing he'd reject their children too. She'd struggled alone, working odd jobs until her health failed. Her final entries were letters to her daughters, urging them to be brave, to find joy despite the world's cruelty. Ethan wept, something he hadn't done since childhood. He realized these girls weren't just Claire's, they were his. A DNA test confirmed it, but the legal battle was daunting. Foster care systems prioritized stability, and Ethan's single, workaholic life didn't scream fit parent. He hired the best lawyers, but the real fight was proving he could change. The resolution unfolded over months. Ethan scaled back his CEO duties, delegating to a trusted deputy so he could be present. He enrolled the girls in school, where they thrived despite rocky starts. Ava joined the debate team, channeling her fire. Emma's art won a local contest. Sophie found solace in books, while Lily's cheer infected everyone. Ethan learned to cook, badly, to listen, to laugh. The legal system dragged, but his persistence paid off. After a grueling hearing, he was granted guardianship, with a path to adoption. The girls, once skeptical, began calling him Dad in tentative whispers that grew bolder. By the story's end, Ethan stood in a backyard he'd never imagined wanting, watching the girls chase fireflies as summer dusk settled. The penthouse was gone, traded for a house with a swing set. His wealth hadn't saved him, his regret, his effort, and these 4 fierce girls had. He wasn't perfect, but he was theirs. The inspiring message lingered: redemption isn't a moment, it's a choice made every day. No matter how far you've fallen, love can pull you back if you're brave enough to face your past.